Chapter 177. Ammonite 2. While various emotions were surging in Zhao Zhongneng's heart, and the red glow in the sky dissipated and the sunset, the pitch-black surface of the sea that had lost its light suddenly underwent a strange change. Countless gorgeous lights flickered on the sea outside the harbor, and they seemed to be illuminating the sky as well. The magnificence was even more obvious, attracting the attention of all the ports of the Seven Blood Eyes. Gradually, uproars rang out everywhere. One figure after another walked out of the magic boats at the various ports. Many people on the shore who saw the scene quickly flew over. Outside the Seven Blood Eyes harbor, the gorgeous lights turned into threads that flowed rapidly on the surface of the sea. They continued to swim and gradually formed dense groups. It was as though the entire surface of the sea outside the harbor was filled with these beams of light, like the sea had turned into a starry sky with meteors streaking past. Soon, countless beams of light drifted past the entrance of the harbor and filled all the ports. This scene caused the Seven Blood Eyes cultivator to be even more shocked. Xu Qing's eyes revealed a strange glint as he stood on the magic boat and looked over. He noticed that the things that emitted the beams of light were palm-sized spiral creatures. Their extended bodies seemed to possess nerves that could form light sources. Their flickering formed this peerlessly beautiful scene. Ammonites. Xu Qing recalled the description on the sea record. There wasn't much description of the Ammonite in the sea record. It only pointed out that if the red clouds at sunset contained hints of gold, this phenomenon would occasionally appear in the sea after the sunset. It didn't say much specifically and only said that this phenomenon was harmless. However, Xu Qing knew from the thick book of herbs that grandmother Bai had left behind that ammonites were a type of precious medicinal ingredient. They had miraculous effects when it came to harmonizing and reducing the violentness of the medicinal effects. Senior Sister Ding and Zhao Zhongneng, who had yet to leave Port 79, also noticed this scene. Senior Sister Ding looked at the gorgeous sea in a daze. Zhao Zhongneng hurriedly spoke. Senior Sister, I know what this phenomenon is. It is caused by ammonites, which are also known as star shells. They occasionally float above the sea behind the red clouds. They are useless and only know how to shine. Other than being beautiful, they don't have any uses. Zhao Zhongneng glanced at Xu Qing in the distance and spoke loudly. Xu Qing's expression was as calm as ever. He didn't have the time to care about Zhao Zhongneng, who was implying something. He didn't even listen to the latter. All his attention was on the surface of the sea. As the seawater undulated, the ammonites that emitted resplendent beams of light intertwined and separated. Some lights seemed to have synchronized while others appeared chaotic. Those who were synchronized would entangle together and no longer separate. Those who were chaotic would leave after coming into contact with each other slightly, as though they were searching for those that could synchronize with them. What Xu Qing was paying attention to was the latter. The knowledge that grandmother Bai had imparted to him appeared in his mind. He looked at the ammonites that were moving around chaotically and silently waited for an opportunity. Not all ammonites could become medicinal herbs. What he was waiting for was the male ammonites that couldn't find a companion even after a long time. Only this type of ammonite would eventually mutate due to some changes in its body and turn into medicinal materials that were helpful for cultivation. Xu Qing's silence made Zhao Zhongneng even more smug. He lifted his chin high. This thing is recorded in the sect and isn't of much use. Moreover, this phenomenon lasts only for a short time before disappearing. Senior Sister Ding looked at the ammonites. Her expression revealed some disgust at Zhao Zhongneng's words as she calmly spoke. It's also good to be able to emit light. The magnificence it forms can not only illuminate itself, but also those who are watching. It's better than some ravens with no light at all. Zhao Zhongneng raised his eyebrows and was about to speak. However, at this moment, Xu Qing, who had been ignoring the conversation between the two, suddenly narrowed his eyes. He lifted his right hand and grabbed at the surface of the sea. Immediately, the water vapor in the surroundings transformed into water droplets and gathered together. In the blink of an eye, they transformed into a large hand which moved toward the countless ammonites on the surface of the sea. The hand grabbed one and then returned to Xu Qing. As the large hand dissipated, the ammonite landed in Xu Qing's hand. The palm-sized ammonite was covered in spiral patterns. The light on the body that extended out of the mouth of the shell was gradually dimming. The instant it was about to completely dim, Xu Qing's right hand suddenly emitted a chill. This chill directly enveloped the ammonite, instantly freezing it into an ice cube. It completely retained its state before it dimmed. Looking at the ice cube in his hand, a smile appeared on Xu Qing's face. After he carefully kept it, he continued to observe the sea. At the same time, in Port 79, there were some people who acted like Xu Qing. These people clearly knew the medicinal value of the Ammonites, so they quickly captured those who met the requirements. They weren't the only ones. Some disciples from the other ports also made a move. There were even some figures who flew out from the mountain and headed straight for the ports to capture them. Most of them were cultivators from the second peak. This scene was like an invisible slap to the face of Zhao Zhaneng, who had just said that this thing was useless. He was stunned and puzzled about this. Senior Sister Ding also saw all of this. She was curious and hurriedly moved closer to Xu Qing. When she reached the berth where Xu Qing's magic boat was at, she hurriedly spoke. "Junior brother Xu, why are you and some others capturing these Ammonites?" As she spoke, she, who was used to Xu Qing's personality, directly took out a spirit ticket and handed it over. The moment before the male Ammonite dies, it will transform into a rare medicinal ingredient, which is quite helpful for cultivation. Xu Qing didn't accept the spirit ticket but still explained for Ding Zhu. This was mainly because he thought of the foundation building jade slips the other party had given him for free earlier. Hence, he spoke in detail. Ammonites, also known as the star shell, is a mollusk. It is a spiritual medicinal catalyst that likes to stay in the cracks of the undersea mountains. It will only go out to sea during the mating season. Every time it goes out, it will cause the red clouds to be tainted with gold. This phenomenon can happen anywhere in the forbidden sea of the Nanhuang continent. Its timing is uncertain and it's difficult to find traces of it. Hence, it's rarely seen above the inland. Its attributes are sweet, cold, and slightly poisonous. It can calm the mind. Coupled with the yin-yang polarization technique and the shell water, it can be refined into a spirit ascension pill. However, many new pharmacological techniques use the ammonite as a parasitic body and take advantage of its special spirit. By turning it into a natural furnace, they can raise good pills. It is even better in harmonizing and neutralizing violent medicinal effects. After Xu Qing finished speaking, he continued to stare at the sea, searching for ammonites that could be captured. Senior Sister Ding didn't understand, but she vaguely felt that Xu Qing's words were very impressive. Hence, she looked at Xu Qing and her beautiful eyes revealed an intense expression as she quickly asked, "Then why are they glowing?" That's because during the reproduction season, the ammonites surface and use their bodies to emit different lights to attract the opposite sex. This is also why their lights appear. After touching each other, if the light of both parties is synchronized, they can mate. If the male ammonite's light can't be synchronized, it will be despised by the female ammonite. In the end, if it can't find a female companion, it will dissipate and die. As Xu Qing spoke, he grabbed another ammonite that met the requirements. Senior Sister Ding's face was filled with admiration. She knew that Xu Qing was busy now, so she didn't ask any more. Instead, she observed and studied. Every time Xu Qing made a move, she would pay attention. It didn't take long for her to see the trick can begin to help. Xu Qing didn't need any help. However, on account of the foundation building jade slips, although he felt that she was a burden, he didn't say anything and let Senior Sister Ding busy herself. Time flowed by, as more and more disciples took action. A night passed. When the morning gradually brightened, all the ammonites that were entangled on the surface of the Seven Blood Ice Harbor left one after another and returned to the bottom of the sea. Only the dull and dead male ammonite corpses floated. After rotting at a speed visible to the naked eye, they transformed into a part of the Forbidden Sea. Senior Sister Ding, who had been busy the entire night but was clearly happier, also chose to bid farewell and leave. Behind her beautiful figure, Zhao Zhaneng followed with a bitter expression. He looked at Senior Sister Ding's back view in front of him. His eyes revealed desire as he silently swore in his heart. "Just watch, Ding Zhu. Sooner or later, you'll be moved by me."